And good morning and welcome to the Law and Crime Trial Network. I'm George Spencer, preparing for what promises to be a powerful and captivating Friday here in the network, as we're live in 3 courtrooms in 3 major cases, all 3 of them unfolding today. The first of our big cases we'll start off with is in Florida, and this will be day 3 in Florida's case against Nicole Nachtman. Nachtman, you may remember, is that former Florida State University student who is accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather. That case moving into day 3 right now, those victims found at their own home down there in Florida. Meanwhile, our second big case of the day, one we've been following all week here at Law and Crime, has major developments, and that takes us up to Georgia. This is, of course, the tragic case against foster parents Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum, who stand accused in the death of their 2-year-old foster child, Layla Daniel. And after a final witness, we expect to hear closing arguments out of that case in Georgia from the 2 sides in court later on today. But right now we move to our third case, also captivating and full of international intrigue. That is unfolding right now. That's the case against Amato. Let's go down to Florida and listen into what's happening in that case right now. And welcome back, everyone. We have been following this trial out of Florida, the case against Amato. And of course, that was his brother Jason there on the stand right now, testifying against his own brother. I'm joined this morning by trial attorney Terri Austin. Terri, good to be with you. You know, it was a little granular there, but we heard Jason kind of talking about when he regained access to the family home there in Seminole County, Florida. And then it was almost sort of a point-by-point assessment of what he saw in the home, the TVs, the safes that were open, the jewelry that was left there. What might they be getting at with this?
The prosecution, I think, is trying to establish a foundation that there was property in the house. It was expensive property, but no one stole the property. So I think he's trying to show that someone close to the family was involved, and obviously they're thinking it's the defendant.
And certainly you and I were also talking, I mean, this is brother testifying against brother. So the power, and we saw him even tearing up there for a few moments when he described the ring on his mother's hand.
That's exactly right, George. It's very powerful for the prosecution to call the brother to testify against his own brother.
All right, Terri, thanks for the commentary. Just one of 3 major cases we are following today across the country. We will return to the Amato case in the Orlando, Florida area when we return here on Law and Crime, coming up right after this break. You are watching some pretty powerful testimony there from the brother of the accused man, Amato. That is his brother Jason there on the stand. With me right now is trial attorney Terri Austin. And Terri, this is in some ways really hard to listen to one brother testifying against another, but I was really struck when we joined a few minutes ago hearing this brother Jason talk about that ultimatum. This sounds like a family that had tried to make it work with Grant for quite a while. Was that your impression?
That's exactly right. I think that they really wanted him to improve his behavior. It seems as though they did everything they possibly could until finally the parents did this ultimatum and said, these are the things you need to do if you want to live at home.
Powerful story of really a lot of family trauma and trying to kind of work there. And then I was struck by when Jason went there to visit Grant, he said, quote, you know, he was the last one that I knew saw my family before they were dead.
And if you noticed, he almost teared up at that point.
Right.
He knew that his brother was there. He accused his brother because it was, in his own mind, the only conclusion he could come to at that point.
Yeah. A lot of captivating testimony. We are following this Amato trial, of course, and 2 others out of Georgia and Florida as well. We'll have more on all of them when we return here on Law and Crime. Back live now on Law and Crime, where we are following the case of Amato out of Florida and hearing his brother testify there on the stand about the days leading up to these murders. Joined now by trial attorney Terri Austin. Again, Terri, we've been watching this. It seems like this brother is a very powerful witness. If nothing else from the jury, I've got to imagine they're sensing his emotion.
That's exactly right. He's very powerful. As a matter of fact, this is the perfect first witness to put on the stand. He's laying the foundation, but he's almost like a victim. So this is serving a little bit like a victim impact statement where he's showing all of the emotion, the loss, of his parents, of his brother. So he's doing a great job.
And really laying the foundation for this entire case, as you say. We will, of course, be continuing to follow this trial out of Florida as soon as we get back from this break. More from the brother of Grant Amato on the stand when we come back here on Law and Crime. Oh, no, all right, we have been monitoring the continuing testimony of Grant Amato's own brother, Jason, there on the stand in that Central Florida courtroom. And Terry, you've been watching with me. Strong prosecution witness, we said that earlier. It's a little difficult for me to tell so far on cross where the defense is trying to take this.
I think the defense is trying to show a couple of things. Okay. The first thing is that Jason, the older brother, was out of the house early on, so he didn't see a lot of the interactions. And I think the second thing is that he's trying to show the father was meticulous, he was overbearing, he was critical of Grant. And so I think he's trying to establish those foundations. But
Jason really coming in there, I would think, in the eyes of the jury, looking quite sympathetic. He talked about, I didn't want Grant to feel dominated as we were sending him to rehab. That's got to go over pretty favorably, I would think.
I agree. And not only that, but I think Jason is establishing, okay, so my father might have been a little overbearing, but the jury is probably thinking that is no reason to kill your whole family.
All right, Terry, very interesting stuff. Big continuation coming up as we continue to follow this trial out of Florida. We will be monitoring every development, of course, in the Grant Amato case and the two other big cases we're following right now as we continue on Law and Crime right after this break. Stay with us.